Hey, this is Melissa and Denise with Beautifully Broken Authentically You Ministries, and we are going to do a podcast today. Excited?
I am, but this one's going to be specialized.
Specialized to the true life of a Christian.
Yes.
So basically, talking about how life has really changed
A lot.
in the last year and a half, and what it means, like mindset change, everything.
Oh.
Tell me, the first question I want to ask is, tell me some of your misconceptions of who God was and like what this life was actually supposed to be versus what it is.
Oh gosh. Wow. I think the biggest misconception that I had was that, like God loves us, so, I could just do whatever I want and he's going to forgive me. And I mean, yes, that is accurate to a point.
Yes.
Yes, he does give forgiveness for things that you do when you're repentant, but we can't just do them and expect a blessing.
True.
We have to put action behind, okay, well, what are our actual values, and that's one of the biggest things I learned, is that I can't just continue to do things I know are not good and expect him to bless it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because I know you've had some encounters with God in the past, but what does full surrender mean, and what does that look like to you? As opposed, what held you back from it before? Because maybe you did have misconceptions and you didn't know what it meant, or...
Well, I think the majority of how I've responded in the past of having encounters with God, as you said, is that I knew of his love. I knew that he could do anything. He can do the impossible. But then when the impossible didn't happen, or if I expected something to happen the way that I wanted it to, I didn't see the blessing in that. Because I expected that God is supposed to be specific and do it the way I want.
Yeah. Ooh, talk about that. That's some serious right there. That's losing control and just...
Yeah.
I mean, you have to learn how to live. Faith is about losing control, right? It's about going for the unexpected and the even ifs instead of the what ifs. What does that mean?
I lived my whole life in the what ifs. I was like a hypochondriac as a kid. If I saw somebody sick, I was like, I'm sick. I was like, okay, well, they're getting some attention. I want some attention, But I learned that full surrender is I have to trust God. I can't go on my own strength, because my own strength is sometimes never there.
Right.
My body may not work, and I might not have that gift. So I have to be okay with God using the gifts that I do have to embrace where he has me right now.
So you talk a lot about God's gifts that you do have. But what about the gift of community? Do you think you could have done this on your own?
No. No. That's a for sure no. I tried to do that for many years, and that's, I think, where I went wrong. Is I had the quiet time with God, and that was great, but I had no reference or frame of reference for who God actually was outside of my own personal study. So I didn't have people to bounce ideas off of or to talk scripture with. I didn't have anybody who had faith around me. I didn't have anybody to mentor me. I didn't have anybody to be that's actually not biblical. I thought, okay, well, I'm reading the word, but I didn't have a personal connection to the word because I was doing it myself.
Yeah. And that accountability, right? That's so important when somebody, but let's talk about being truthful and being I don't know if I mean, I know walking this journey with you and me being so truthful sometimes, I was just like, oh man, she is not gonna like this. I mean, but tell us how that really impacted you, and really you were like, oh, well, she's not trying to just be sensitive and nice and sweet. Like, she's actually trying to grow me and help me to be who God has called me to be.
Yeah, I had never had anybody like that before in my life. I'd had people who tried to come along and try to fix me, or like give me their unsolicited advice or opinions on how I should do something. But I didn't have a personal connection with them. I didn't have a friendship. So when we developed our friendship, you know, it was based on faith. It was based on God. It was based on, okay, well, he brought us together for a reason and a purpose, and we might not exactly know what that is, but because we had built that trust with each other and walking life out with each other, and I was a little less knowing how than you.
I remember the very first time I said, Janice, you're not being your very best self right now.
Yeah, I was not happy that you said that. But there's a lot of moments where I was like, because we had built that trust and that foundation on faith in God, I knew that anything that you would tell me was true, or at least had some truth in it, you know. And then I'd take it back to God and I'd be like, God, was she right? Yeah, she was right. But I knew that, like, it's not about being nice. It's not about being kind. We're called to be kind to people, but not always nice, you know. And sometimes the harsh reality is, if you really truly love somebody and you care about their friendship and their growth, then you're gonna tell people things that they do not want to know, that they are not ready for, and they're probably gonna be in self-denial. I mean, how many times did I try to deny my own feelings and like fight against what you said out of love, you know? And but I knew that it was true, and I knew that I was willing to change because I love God and because our relationship and friendship was built on God.
Yeah, I think that's a key point too, is when you talk about being willing, because you have to have a teachable spirit. Like, you have to be like, okay, well, I'm done with this. I'm done trying things this way because it's not working. So I'm going to be teachable, and I'm going to be willing to try something completely new. And how many times did you actually have to step out of your comfort zone this year?
Every day. I mean, yeah, I think about that all the time. Like, if I had known a long time ago, even like just building this friendship, if I knew I was going to have to change, I was probably not ever going to do it. But I wanted to do it because I had seen more of God's presence. I had seen more of like him working through you as a friend, but also like all the things that we prayed for, all the things that we built with what we do, you know, and to see him provide for things that we had nothing, and he provided every single thing we needed.
Absolutely.
That was the faith witness of like, okay, well, I'm also not alone, you know. Like,
but he never gave us what we wanted before we were ready for it. Right?
Yes.
Like, he always grew us
where we were
through it, which is difficult, very difficult.
Always.
But I mean, I think the main thing is that this Christian life, it's excuse me, it's not easy. It's hard. It's constantly stepping out of your comfort zone, but knowing that God is the creator and he's the only one who's going to be able to make any kind of change. Like, you can go and try everything in this world and nothing is going to fulfill you as much as him and what he's going to do for you.
It's true.
But I mean, this has been an amazing year.
It has. It has. Like I mean, when you look, like when you're going through it, you don't feel like you're doing anything, even though you know you're changing a lot every day,
right?
Or you see a lot of blessing every day, but you can't process it until later,
right?
You know, because it just happens all at once, and you're just like, oh, okay, I see what you were doing there, you know.
So if you could sum up the faith journey in a couple sentences, how would you sum it up? Like surrendering yourself.
Yeah,
you know, you're not your own.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that I've learned is that we can't do anything on our own strength. I mean, we can experience life to the fullest of what we think, but again, we're never going to be satisfied. We're always going to be wanting more. And that's exactly what addiction is. That's what lust is. That's what all of these things that culture tells you that you need to have. And the only thing that can really satisfy us is Jesus, is faith in the Spirit, and like giving up what we expected and embrace what is.
Right. So yeah, I think that we oftentimes put our trust, our faith, and our hope in all the things that are created,
right?
Instead of putting it in the
somebody
Creator.
else. Yeah. So a lot of people put their hopes into a different person, their spouse or whatever, and and you know, and then when that friend or that spouse, something happens, it's like, oh, well, who do I trust now?
Yeah.
But God never changes.
Right.
You know, any relationship that's built on God is God-centered. You know, and so surrender is one of those fancy words that nobody wants to hear.
Yeah, because there's all sorts of misconceptions, like, oh, it's too hard. Oh, well, this is not what I want. So it's really giving up self, giving up who you are, giving up yourself, and partnering with God to have that amazing relationship. And know that, you know what, nothing in creation that God has created is going to satisfy me the way that my Creator satisfies me.
Amen. Yeah, that's legit.
That's true. I mean, that's a good one. So if there's anyone who is questioning whether they want to give up their self to this new life, what would you say to them?
It's okay not to understand, because a lot of faith and a lot of what the Spirit represents goes against what the world says.
Right.
So it's okay if it doesn't make sense. It's okay if it feels foreign, because it is. But you're not alone in that. Like, there's a lot of emotions and a lot of like outside your comfort zone that's going to happen when you dedicate yourself to walking a Christian life. And it's not always going to be easy. Actually, it's pretty guaranteed to not be easy.
That's probably when you know you're doing something right.
Right. That's usually how we know we're doing something right, is it's not easy. Because anything easy isn't worth it.
Right.
If we could just do it. You know, if you really want to make an impact, if you really want to have change in your heart, it has to come from a place of a heart change. And that comes over time. It's not going to happen overnight. We still learn every day.
Yeah, every day. There's a new challenge every day.
Every day.
But it's like, how are you going to choose to face that challenge? Are you going to choose to go the other way, to walk away, or are you going to choose the holy way?
The holy way. Yes. Like respond or react.
Right.
You know, and I've had to learn how to respond and not react. And so every time I learn a new thing in faith, it's like I have an opportunity to show somebody else what I've learned.
Right.
You know, and that is also to say, don't be discouraged either. because we don't get things right every time. Sometimes we have to make mistakes in order to have a success.
Yes. So I think the ultimate thing is to drop expectations. Like, what are your expectations of even just having faith, the expectations, even just knowing who God is? Like, drop that expectation. He's not just a genie in the sky. He's not
Most
just
people
another
do think that.
Yeah, he's not just another human. I mean, he created humans.
Yeah, and he loved us so much, and he knew he was the only one who could redeem. So he came as human. Like, what? That blows your mind.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, very interesting. So yeah, I mean, I just would say, like, why not? I mean, you've tried everything else and it doesn't work. So why not try something so radically different, which is faith?
Right.
Yeah, faith. It's been a wild year and a half for both of us, and it's been a wild 14 years for me.
Yeah.
14 years of being completely different from everybody else, like losing so many people. And I mean, that's where we can talk about community, because we really only have, like, first of all, only God knows everything about us, and he knows even more about us than we even know.
True.
So just relying on him and not relying on the people of this world. I mean, because they are creation. We have to rely on our creator.
Community is important, though. Community of having just somebody, or maybe a group of people who are on the same type of faith journey you're on. Like, we're not meant to walk life alone.
Correct. But I think it's really awesome when you said earlier, so I would take what you said and I would take it back to God and be like, are you right, or whatever. But even in those faith communities that we build, like, take what people say and bring it back to God and say, God, what did you want me to hear out of this? Because they told me all this stuff, X, Y, and Z, and I don't believe that stuff. But if I'm supposed to, can you please show me?
Yeah, and he will, believe me. Like, you ask God to show you something, he will show you.
Right.
And he'll confirm it many times, just in case you missed the first one or the 50th one. He'll show you again. But I mean, we just have to be willing to be receptive.
Yeah,
that's what I've learned.
Yeah, be receptive, be willing to learn, be willing to step out of your comfort zone, do things that you're not normally used to doing. And embracing the seasons that you're in, because they're going to be different.
Yeah, but they're also building blocks for what he's going to do next. And you can never predict what he's going to do next, because, like, I never would have imagined the way that I am now a year ago.
Right.
So we can't pretend, we can't help God by being like, oh, I'm gonna help you, God, do what I want. No, he's gonna do what he needs to do.
Yeah.
And sometimes he needs to make us uncomfortable so that we can see that, like, we need to change something, or we need to help somebody, or he's going to place an opportunity for us to stir up the water, because he's good at that.
He sure is.
So I've learned that, like, even I can have my plans and I can even keep planning if I want to, but ultimately it's him who decides, and I have to be okay with him changing what I expected.
Yeah, we definitely have had to drop expectations and be interruptible. So, like you said, we can have our plans, but God guides our steps. And so we have to be okay with, well, I don't really know what I'm doing tomorrow or in an hour. I mean, I think I'm going to do this. This is my plan, but interruptible. So if God changes it, we are ready to go in the direction that he wants us to go in.
Right. And then we won't be disappointed because we're dropping our expectations, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks so much for tuning in, and hit the subscribe button. Yeah, thank you.